hi, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Welcome again to our program, and I am joined today by one of my absolutely favorite people, Tana Gertz. She is a professional speaker. She's an executive coach. She is a powerhouse. She has been an advisor to President Trump. She helped him get elected and is going to help to get him elected again. Tana, how are you today?
Great, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you. There's so many things that are going on, and I just want to thank you again for all the work that you do and the people that you influence. And we're going to talk about a number of issues today. One, of course, in your experience as an executive coach, and you could tell our listeners a little bit more what that entails. We're going to talk about how the abortion issue has come to light in that context, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the victories and the progress that has been made even in these recent days. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how the race is shaping up for president for 2020. But first of all, in terms of your professional work, it's very interesting. Tell our viewers a little bit about what you do and about how it has turned your thoughts recently in some instances to the issue of abortion and the impact it has.
Well, thank you so much for having me. We always have a good time because we're both so fired up about life and our great president. So thank you so much again. A little bit about me for those of you or for those of your followers or listeners or viewers that haven't met me yet. I was on President Trump's show, The Apprentice, 15 years ago. I was the runner-up for the Street Smarts team, which were the entrepreneurs. I was one of the only mothers on the show. I was one of the older people on the show, and I had an amazing time, task after task, doing great things and learning so much about business from America's business icon at the time, Donald Trump. And I came home, took all of that knowledge and immediately immersed that into my speaking career and my executive coach career, which was more or less, I go all around the country inspiring people. I inspire groups. Primarily, Salesforce is my niche. Women empowerment is also my niche. And so I became a motivational speaker. And the world got to see that I'm very energetic. I'm very passionate about what I do. And I can teach people that, success is in all of our DNA. And so that transformed into people at events wanted a little bit more knowledge about me, wanted to work with me a little bit more, and wanted to kind of have that same energy that I have. So I decided that I would be a coach for them, an executive coach. I'd take them either professionally or personally to the next level. And what I learned was I could get them professionally to the next level because a lot of tweaks here and there, just being more hardworking or more confident led to them being more successful in the workplace, to kind of talk to them about how to get what you want, how to prioritize, how to negotiate, all the things I learned from the great business icon, Donald Trump. But then I started realizing I was really, really talented at the personal side because I learned, Father, that a lot of us have the same hurts, hang-ups, habits, just the same, we all have the same issues at the core of it all, And so I just started realizing that the lack of confidence, the lack of believing in yourself really stifles a lot of people. So when I work with someone one-on-one, I more or less take my pad of paper and interview you and say, where were you born? What age where are you at in your lineup? Your parents still together? Da, 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 da. And I get a formula for who this person is. Yeah. And it's fantastic. And so a lot of the common denominators that I was experiencing in a few people that were really difficult to get to the next level, or females or males, that there was just guilt. And there was stuff that I've never really experienced that as I'm peeling back the layers, we've come to a common denominator that either the female has had an abortion in her past, or some of the men, I couldn't understand, why do you hate yourself so much? And then they admit that, I forced a woman to have an abortion. I convinced my wife to have an abortion. And I convinced, my high school sweetheart that I didn't love her and I didn't want the baby, have an abortion. And so there was this denominator that women, men were guilted by the abortion issue. And
Yes.
I had never had any experience in this. I had a few friends. I have a few friends that have had abortions. I, thank goodness, never have. I'm completely 100% pro-life. However, I didn't want to judge because that is not my place. I'm not the Lord. I am a sinner. And I just came from a place of love and trying to make these people understand that God knows our heart. And please correct me if I'm doing anything wrong or speaking. I know I'm not speaking out of the Lord's love because I this comes from my heart, but I'm saying things that I believe the Lord would want me to say because He doesn't want us to judge one another. And that is, you are loved. You made a decision. You can turn away from that decision and repent. And I suggest that these people who have made this poor decision that has completely affected their lives, that they go and now be vocal about it. And a lot of times people are like, no, I don't want anyone to know. It's like the little secret. Or
Yes.
the men are like, no, I'm embarrassed. Like, I don't want my colleagues or anyone, actually, even my new current wife, to know I convinced somebody else to have an abortion. So there's a lot of accountability that nobody wants to take on this subject that
Right.
I'm saying
Right.
I feel as if you took accountability and I'm suggesting, mentor young women to
Yeah.
say, I did it and it was a horrible decision. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you what I live with. Let me tell you the demons
Yeah.
that I experience from that. And so I didn't have I'm not a woman, called woman from, I'm not a I'm not in the church, as you know. I'm just a regular lay woman here that has no background in the church or theology, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. And so I'm just speaking like love, share, mentor others, don't make the mistake again, and turn yourself around and realize that
Yes.
I don't want to say you murdered a baby, you killed someone, you took life. That's not my place because I'm sure they know that.
They
i'm
know that.
coming from
Yeah.
I'm coming from a place of love. And how do we get past this? How do I now help you love yourself again?
Yes.
And so by sharing those little bits that I just shared here with you, people have realized that they don't need to be under this dark cloud of this horrible decision that has ruined a life, that has ruined a couple, has ruined many people, that they are now becoming a little more vocal. Some of them have taken my mentor idea and they're actually doing that, mentoring young women. Someone else is mentoring rape victims. And so it's been very rewarding because I had never thought that how, we're so we're so much alike. I think all of us in the world walking that if we just open up our heart to other people have other experiences, even though I've never had an abortion and none of my sisters have, nobody in my family has. So I don't have anywhere to draw upon an experience to tap into. I'm just coming from let's love one another, and God gives this grace to everyone. And I hope that I'm doing that okay. And I'd love to get your feedback if that's what I
Yes.
should be saying.
Well, your experience is very, very consistent with ours. For our viewers that don't know, one of my roles is to be pastoral director of Rachel's Vineyard and of Silent No More. And these are two of the world's largest ministries for healing after abortion, and healing not only the moms, but the dads, the grandparents, the siblings, anyone else that may have been involved in or complicit in that abortion. And what you're saying is completely consistent with everything we've learned, namely that the decision to have an abortion or to force or assist in an abortion deeply damages one's sense of self-esteem, confidence, ability to make decisions. One's whole view of the future now is disoriented and distorted because you realize that you crossed a line that most people don't cross, and that is the line that instinctively prevents us from killing another human being. It's very hard, actually, to cross that line. But once somebody does it and they realize that they've done it, one of the things that happens is that they doubt their own ability to ever make a good decision again.
I can see
Because they
that.
say, who have I become? What have I done? I took the life of my child, or I helped someone else take the life of her child. And they really begin to question who they are and who they might become in the future. And this just destroys everything. It destroys relationships. And in the context of what you're doing, Tana, as an executive coach, you've come to see that unless something changes, unless they take action, which of course you're encouraging them to do, this can destroy their careers. We see this all the time, that having been involved in an abortion, it can destroy your marriage, it can destroy your career, it can destroy everything. And so the path forward is first and foremost to seek personal healing. It's not enough for them to say, I'm sorry, or ask God for forgiveness and receive that forgiveness. All of that is part of it. But the key thing is that they have to focus now on healing the wounds. And one of those key wounds has to do, again, with one's self-esteem. So what we have to do, you in your context, me in mine, is to say to the person, look, what you've done is terribly wrong. You know that already. As you mentioned before, they realize all too well that they have ended a human life. But what we have to help them to understand is their life now and their life in the future is not equal to that mistake of the past. That was a terrible mistake, but they are not their abortion. Their abortion was a terrible thing that they did, but now it is possible to restore that sense of wholeness and confidence and hope in one's future. And we have the tools for them to be able to do that. Something like a Rachel's Vineyard retreat weekend, which they can find at rachelsvineyard.org, is very, very effective spiritually and psychologically, because it's based on the psychological theory of trauma, the abortion as a trauma. They are able to find some peace. They're able to find some healing, and they're able to find the confidence to make those decisions and to move forwards towards a goal and to exercise their talents in a specific career. And of course, that's what you're coaching them to do. So this is very consistent with what we've found, and very interesting to hear you saying that.
Well, we're so much alike. It's so creepy, but cool. I mean, there's so many similarities between yourself and I, and we learned that the first time we met on the phone. So, well, great. I'm glad, because, it felt good. It felt, coming from my heart. I was being open and honest, and a lot of people have found that I more or less found out that they didn't have peace in their life. And when I figured out what it was, they're now trying to put the pieces together to have that peace that can make them go on and have loving, very, very nurturing, successful relationships. So great. I'm happy to hear that.
And we look forward, to partnering with you. And if any of these people are seeking more specific help and healing and whatnot, we'll certainly work with you to make sure they find the resources they need in resources like Rachel's Vineyard. So for those listeners that are just joining us, we are talking with Tana Gertz. She is from Iowa, and she is a professional speaker and an executive coach, and she has been a key advisor and friend to Donald Trump, our president, and working for, as we are all here, for his reelection in 2020. So Tana, we want to turn a little bit to the various battles that have been going on.
Well, I'm so happy for the president and his family, just to have the Mueller investigation be just buried, and to learn there was no collusion, like we've been saying for 2 years. I knew it. I was on the campaign from the day one. Never heard of Russia. We never talked about Russia. We knew that there was no collusion and there was no obstruction, and it was all a big witch hunt, as our president said some years ago. So that was such vindication. And I just, aside from, me and all the original Trump originals, just like, we did it. Yes. Finally, the world can get out of his way and let him do his work. Yeah. I had a moment where I was just alone in my home, and I was just thanking God for everything, all the blessings and all the gratitude that I have for everything in my life. I'm just a very grateful person. And I believe that in life, we have to have some obstacles that make us a little bit more grateful, or humble us, I guess. And I've had those. So I'm just very grateful for a lot, and have an attitude of gratitude often, daily. I work on that. And I was just so grateful that thinking about our great president and just knowing President Trump so well and loving him like I do, um, I just, I was just thinking like how wonderful he must feel. The weight of the world is sort of just rolling off of his back. He
Yeah.
is the toughest man that I know, and of course, what the world sees is this tough man, this facade of just a tough man, and he is, but he's human. And it breaks my heart to think that, every night, yes, he's tough. He is. And he lays his head down at bed, at night and sleeps like 4 hours and, lays next to Melania and wakes up and does it again and again and again and again and again for all of us and takes abuse after abuse. And the first family takes abuse and licks like you can't even believe in. And I just had a moment where I just thought, I hope for one day, maybe 2 days, he can realize that he did it and maybe just feel like somebody loves him. I know he knows God loves him, but he doesn't have a lot of love in his life aside from his family,
Yeah.
and like a small handful of people like myself who, will do anything for him. And then there's the larger group like yourself, Father, and all of the great MAGA supporters across the United States that are amazing patriots.
I'm
They
putting
love.
on my MAGA hat.
Yes, I love it. Awesome. Put that hat on. But, he knows that y'all are out there, but he doesn't feel the love on a daily basis. Like when he comes to a rally and I go hug him, he knows that's a real hug. Like, that's love. Like, that is love. I am giving you all of my good energy, my positive vibes, my love. He feels that. That's why he loves me back. But there's not many people that are loving him. And so I just was so happy for him and for the family. I mean, Don Jr. took a beating too and was just destroyed on the news and for some years. I mean, that's terrifying to think that you may be going to jail if God forbid, they find something that isn't true.
Right.
And so I was so happy. And I was so at peace with just hoping that President Trump had a few days of just relief. But then, turn on the news the next day and Jesse is getting off on his arrest. I thought he was going away for some time. And then we find out that he's not. And the duality of life and the hypocrisy of life. But once again, I try not to fall into that trap of playing God because I'm not.
Yeah.
And I want to judge. And my sinful nature is I want to be ugly and I want to be mean spirited, but I can't, right, Father?
That's right.
Well, we have I want to be bad.
We have a passionate commitment to the truth and a passionate commitment to justice and to life and to America. And that's completely consistent with love. And that's completely because when you love what is good, you hate what is evil. That's two sides of the very same coin. We can't say we love truth without hating falsehood. We can't say we love justice without really hating injustice. And that's what's being expressed here, both in what you're saying and what I'm saying, and what we're doing in our day-to-day lives. And the other side doesn't know how to interpret that because, when you don't have a passion for truth and justice, and folks on the other side, and I want to get into some of these particulars in regard to the 2020 race, but a lot of these folks on the other side, unfortunately, they don't believe that there is such a thing as truth. They think that it's all relative, that it's up to each individual to create their own moral code and their own truth. Well, when that's your viewpoint, then how can you be passionate about anything? And that's when they look at us and they see our passion, when they look at the president and they see his passion for America, for example, they don't know how to interpret that. And so they'll try to reinterpret it. Oh, it's racism. Oh, it's hatred. And this is ridiculous. It's completely false. And I think the left are victims of their own hallucinations. And they have these hallucinations, this Russia collusion. There never was such a thing, and no matter how much they dig, they're not going to find such a thing. And yet some of them are going to continue trying to dig. And this it's just insanity.
It is insanity. And at the end of the day, I'm like, we all live in America, the United States of America. Do you not want a better America? Let's agree to disagree. Let's move on. I don't care if we even don't want to paint it as no collusion and he's been completely exonerated. Okay, let's move beyond that. Get out of this man's way and let him continue to make America great again. Look at the lowest unemployment, the economy. I was
Right.
just at a business owner, women-owned business event for Small Business Administration. Women entrepreneurs are booming. So many more women are back to work. The trades, I mean, the list goes on and on.
It's
We don't
awesome.
need to go through it all. Get out of this man's way and let him govern the way he can. It's
That's right.
unbelievable.
Exactly. Exactly. Tana, tell us your impression of how the opposition candidates, the Democrat candidates who have declared already for 2020, are lining up. What is going through your mind as someone who was very much a part of the 2016 campaign? We're looking now at 2020, and I don't know. I look at some of these people coming forward, and I wonder sometimes where in the world are they even coming from? But what is your initial evaluation here?
Well, I would say it's very much in line with what you're saying. I'm scratching my head going, wait, Stormy Daniels' attorney wants to run for 2020? Well, now that he's going to maybe be going away to jail, if in fact he does go away, or he could be another Jesse, maybe instead of it being 2020, maybe he'll get 20 to 25 years. I don't know. Once again, there goes that sinful side of me. But I guess I'm just wondering where are these people coming from? I mean, we saw last go around, we had Hillary and we had Bernie and and whatever. Great. But now we've got, Elizabeth Warren, who once again, she's been proved to be a liar, to talk about her heritage, to get, I don't know if it's sympathy votes or what it was. I don't care to know what it was. I don't have any worry that we're not going to have a landslide, because I'll predict that right now. I'll go on the
Praise
record
God.
I will predict a 2020 landslide for Donald Trump. But at the core of it all, I'm thinking, and now I know most Republicans vote their president to be elected on policies and principles and what their programs are going to be for the United States of America. And as I mentioned, I'm a very conservative woman and I'm pro-life. I want my president to be aligned with my principles and my values and beliefs. So therefore, I would want my president to be pro-life.
Yes.
Well, when the Democrats are very adamantly about, I'm all for Planned Parenthood and I'm pro-choice and whatever women and men want to do, God bless America, everybody just do what they want and have no ramifications for whom you're hurting, or, the unborn, be the voice of the unborn. They have no regard for that. So I personally look at who I'm going to vote for by what do they believe in. So that just makes me wonder, if all these people are lining up and all these people are saying they're completely behind these Democratic candidates, do we have that many people in the world or the United States that are pro-choice, pro-abortion, pro-killing lives,
and late-term abortion.
And late-term abortion, what is the world coming to when that just got passed?
Exactly. I mean, all of these Democrat candidates for president who have declared, they are not only in favor of abortion, but they're talking about right up until birth, and they even oppose the law that is trying to be voted on now in the House, and that was an attempt in the Senate to protect the babies that are born alive if the abortion fails.
Oh,
now
I know.
The baby's outside the woman's body, and the baby's there on the table trying to breathe. And the bill that's being introduced by the Republicans says, hey, in the case like that, take the baby to the hospital. Give the baby the same care you would in any other circumstance. And these Democrats can't even say yes to that. I mean,
it's sickening.
That boggles the mind.
It boggles my mind, and it makes, and I know that we're not supposed to generalize and we're not supposed to put genders here and male, female, but what woman who has been given, and this is how I look at being a mother and this is how I look at being a female. I look at being a female as being a chosen one to be able to bring life into this world. I am a female who can be a mother, and by the grace of God, I've been able to birth children. I've been able to get pregnant. I've carried 2 very, very healthy babies, and I'm a mother of 2. And I just look at that as a privilege. Like God chose me, I'm a female, to do that work for him, to procreate. So I know that it sounds harsh to say that I don't look at men that say, have abortions. I don't care. Kill them if they're on the table and it didn't work. I look at them a little different. But a female, we're wired to be nurturers.
Right.
We are wired to be godly, to procreate, bring life into this world. Whether we choose to or not is not my business. I have many friends and many women that I work with that said, "Hey, I don't want children. Never have, never will." Well, that's her business. But I look at it like it's my gift. It was like a blessing that God gave me to be able to birth children.
Oh,
and so when I see these females that are up in arms about what President Trump did to, with Planned Parenthood and take away their funding and all sorts of things, I'm like, wow. Like, I look at you differently. I look at you as a horrible woman. In my opinion.
It really is horrible, and we have to call them out on it. And I mean, we're going to be talking a lot more about this in the months to come, you and I. And
I hope so.
But I want to encourage our viewers and our listeners. I mean, you got to have the courage to speak up, and now's the time. Do it early. While these people are first becoming known, you don't get a second chance at a first impression. And I think what we have to try to do is as soon as these candidates